Hey guys, good morning. It is the fourth week of spring. I think it's April 14th today, so mid-April. It is time to take a look at our garden and see how it's doing. If you're new here, my name is Kiera. Feel free to call me Q, and welcome. On our patio, here is a look at our strawberry green stalk. You can see there's a little bit of discoloration here, but I did actually fertilize this a couple days ago. I think it was about 4 days ago now. We don't have any strawberries yet, but we do have little basils coming up and other little flowers, and I think in the next week I'm going to come in here and fill up any of the empty pockets that don't have anything in them, where you can see here like nothing came up. But overall it's still doing pretty well. Our blackberries are just growing super well. The leaves are getting really big. You can see there. And I think the leaves might actually be bigger than they were last year. And these plants now are almost as tall as me, and I'm 5'5". They're probably about, this looks to be about 5'3", 5'4". So they're filling out really nicely here. Over into the garden proper, this is our apricot tree. And in the last week, it's really exploded. So it has branches that are almost touching the ground, and they spread out way farther than they did in previous years. We have some fruit on here that is starting to blush a little bit. I don't know if it's actually going to be ready anytime soon, but a lot of the fruit has that kind of reddish tinting on one side. You can see more down here. We did just like a very quick thinning of fruit on this tree already, but you can see here there's still clusters like this. And so what we'll do is we kind of measure between our pinky and thumb finger, and we will use that as a spacing guide, and anything that is in between those two spacings. Oh, there's so much water on this tree. It's raining. Okay. We will take those off. And then for parts like this, there's two pieces of fruit that are right next to each other. And so we'll just take one of those off too, so that they're not competing, and leave just the one. So the apricot tree is doing really well. Peach tree, you know, it's doing how it's doing, still holding on, but it's not great. That's just gonna be how this tree is for a good while here. The herb bed is looking really good. The sage at this point is fully filled in. If you've never felt a sage plant before, they're actually like really soft and kind of velvety. I actually really like the texture of these. These and like lamb's ear and stuff like that. They're all very soft feeling. And then we have some calendula that was deadheaded, but it's been a few days and so it needs it again. Green onion is, you know, doing its green onion thing, taking over still. And then our rosemary back there is very happy. And then over here in the front we have some thyme that's doing really well too. Next up is the grape arch. It's doing very, very well. You can see the two most mature plants on this side have completely filled in their side, and they're going towards the sky a little bit. It's actually come all the way over now, and then it's starting to touch the little one that's on that side, so that's really good. But yeah, I love this thing. I'm so happy that we decided to build this arch here. This is what it's like underneath it. And let's see, I don't see any fruit clusters yet. It's probably still way too early for that, but the leaves are filling in really nicely. It has little tendrils coming out and, you know, more little clusters of leaves. So it is looking pretty good. Gosh, everything is just, it's so magical after it rains. I love it. Okay, before I get distracted and I just look at dewy plants all day, let's continue with the tour. Since we got just a ton of rain yesterday, you can see these are all laid out here. Definitely some deadheading that needs to happen in here, but overall, they're just kind of looking soggy. Same thing with the lavender here. This will perk up again once they kind of dry out a little bit. The moisture is kind of keeping them down. And then we have a little lemon thyme in here that just smells really nice. I really enjoy the smell of this, but it's chugging along too. Then we have our little, this is a Meyer lemon tree, and there's no flowers on it yet, but that's okay. We just mostly want this thing to to live. So then we have some more citrus trees that are pretty soggy, and the flowers are starting to open, so that's really nice. This is probably what is a Valencia orange, and this is the tree that we rehabbed last year, and so overall it's looking pretty good. It does have, you can see back here, all the leaves are pretty curled, and underneath them there's just a lot of aphids inside those curls, but there's also a lot of ladybugs over here, so we've been just kind of letting them do their thing until we have more time to take a really good look over here. And right next to it is our clementine tree, or cutie tree as I like to call it, and not much to report here, but it is also blooming and should be covered in fruit here pretty soon. Back in the very back of our garden here, we put in some raspberry canes, and they're looking really good. I think they've been here now about a week, and there's some little bit of discoloration there, but overall they're looking really happy. And we weren't sure if they would do well in this spot, but they all look pretty solid. There's French sorrel right there. This one I think is a sage. Yeah, that's another sage plant. There's marjoram back there. This one, what is this one? This is a little thyme plant. I went ahead and put herbs on these mounds for a couple reasons. The main one is so that we can actually grow more food or more food items in the space that we have. We want this whole back area of our yard to be kind of like a perennial loop is what we're calling it. And so we've been just slowly adding things in, and the goal is for this to just be a very productive area in a few years' time. And so with these perennials, we would love to have more food growing in one spot. Andrew is really interested in food forest idea. We also are learning more and more about permaculture and just trying it in very small ways that we can. And then the other idea here is I would love for these plants to also get bigger so that we can have something that competes with the grass. Now, we originally wood chipped this entire back area of our backyard, and on that half of the garden the wood chips are still there, but on this half of the garden the grass kind of took over again. And so what we're doing is also pulling grass, trying to reclaim spaces as we can, but we also want to bring in more wood chips and just keep covering the grass and just kind of like chipping away at it a little at a time as we can. But in the meantime, we're doing things like this, kind of planning for the future. The other thing I did is in the kind of middle in between the mounds here, I put in some extra sweet alyssum that I had, and I want to put a lot more just to have something pretty that is also growing back here besides grass. And it acts as a really good home for beneficial insects. But that is something that we would like to have too, is just more underneath the canopy here as our raspberries establish and more canes start to grow. Now onto our garden beds. So we have three 4 by 16 foot garden beds here, 3 4 by 8 ones in the middle, and then on the far end, which I'll show you also, we have 3 more 4 by 16s. In this one here, we are doing an experiment with covering the soil with, this is extra straw that I had. So I put it back here just because this bed gets the most sun out of any of them. And you can see the grass is starting to come back through here, and so I'm going to come out here and pull a bunch of it out. But overall it's really good for keeping the grass down and keeping the soil and keeping moisture in the soil. Back here I planted an entire row of okra. None of these starts were very healthy when I put them in, and so you can see like this one is dead right here, and I'm going to come through and put seeds, okra seeds, where all of the ones that didn't make it, but I wanted to give them a shot first. And then we have ones like this one. This one's still holding on, so I'm going to give it more time. There's a random mushroom growing there. I also put in some marigolds from my starts that did do really well. I popped those all over the garden. Over here I have a nasturtium, which I've actually never gotten nasturtium to sprout before, and so that's one of them. And then I think this is a sunflower, maybe. We'll see. Actually, what does this tag say? Oh yeah, this is a teddy bear sunflower, which I've never grown before either. And what's back on this trellis? I think I put Armenian cucumbers on this one. Yeah. So this is the trellis and the side of the trellis that gets absolutely the most sun. And so I put some Armenian cucumbers on this trellis because they don't seem to mind it at all. And then I have my little zinnia in the middle there. In this middle bed here, there are Kentucky, oh, my tag fell out, Kentucky Wonder pole beans. These were the first ones to sprout, and it looks like something has been enjoying eating them, which is kind of sad. And then we have, this looks like a sunflower here. This is a volunteer. I think it was in the compost that we put down. This was our compost that we made, and it has a bunch of sprouts in it. And so some of them, like this one, I'm probably going to move this one just because it's a little close to the edge. But a lot of them, I'm honestly just going to leave them. You can see the grass has been enjoying the rain, so I got to come in here and pull grass again. And then I have zinnias and sunflowers that I popped into this middle kind of dead zone back there. See, this is actually a great example. So there's a sunflower here, there, to there. And there's a couple weeds and stuff too, but there's more down there. And only a few of these I actually put in here. I'm actually really not mad about these sunflowers volunteering here. Sunflowers are my favorite flower, and so I will take it. The ones that are like too close to each other or too close to things that I know are going to get really big, like the trellises and stuff. Hi, buddy. Hello. I was not here for you. Hi. Some of them I'm going to leave. Oh, off? Good, off. So some of them I'm going to move, but for the most part, I actually really love volunteer plants, and I kind of want to see what happens, especially with a lot of my seed starts not turning out the way that I wanted them to this year. I'm super happy with any volunteer that I see because it just means I have more plants, and it's great. Down here I put in some, these are dragon tongue bush beans. There's just like a little cluster of them here. You can see this guy got a little weighed down with all the rain and stuff. And all these little volunteers, some of them are going to be moved. Some of them that I can't identify are going to be taken out altogether. But we'll see how they do. These might be getting too much sun exposure, but I do plan on putting in different plants around them, like peppers and stuff like that. Here is our kaboka squash. These came up a couple weeks ago. I think I'm going to move this little guy since he's obviously smaller than the other one now. But I'm really happy about that. We've never grown that before. The Armenian cucumbers that I put here didn't come up yet, which most of my trellis seeds, actually, I'm surprised that they haven't come up yet, but we'll see we'll give them a little more time. Excuse me, Remy. Watch out. Good boy. Oh, here we go. We got some good stuff down here. So this is a butternut squash. This was not here yesterday, so that's great. I don't think that is, no, that's not the same. This is, I think, another volunteer sunflower, but there should be another butternut squash over here. And then on this side of the trellis, nothing has come up yet. I put a honey nut and a buttercup squash on this side. So hopefully they'll come up soon. I'm not sure. And the thing that really surprises me is the zucchini that I planted. None of those have come up. Those are usually up within like a day or two. This actually looks kind of like a tomato. I'm gonna give that a little more time so I can see what it is. And more sunflowers. This one I might have put here. I don't remember. I don't think I did though. Oh yeah, that's the one I put here because I put it center with the trellis. Well, actually, I don't know. Now, I don't know if I think I did put this one here. That one is a volunteer. Over here, we have two more that are close to each other. So one of them I put there, one of them I didn't. And then we have a bunch more here. This looks like a zinnia maybe? I don't know, I'll have to let this get a little bit bigger. And this one looks like a sunflower to me too. I think another reason why I find volunteers so fun is because it gives me a chance to work on my plant identification skills. So there are some seedlings where I have a general idea of what they look like now, but a lot of them I'm still figuring out. As someone that's only been gardening for a handful of years, this is really cool to me to kind of like guess what things are. And there are things like Like I know what a tomato seedling looks like. When it gets to a certain size, I can spot it. I can kind of spot if something is in like a squash family, or, you know, beans are really distinctive too. But I like that I get to work on this other completely separate skill set. And also, it kind of makes it a game, you know, waiting to see what something ends up being. So here in our 4 by 8 foot beds, these are all cut flowers, with the exception of I did put a couple tomato plants on the border of this middle bed. But these are all like zinnias and cosmos and things like that. And I mean, some of them have died, but we do have enough where I feel good about it. Like this right here, this is a zinnia, this is a cosmo. I love how wispy they are. They're pretty magical and whimsical. But yeah, they're all pretty small still, but they're still alive. And that's the main thing I'm going for. In this bed, you can see the seedlings a lot better. These were the good seedlings that I had when I like redid the testing of my seedlings. These were the ones that I grew, and a lot of them are, I mean, already significantly bigger than the ones in other beds, even though they were planted like a month or two later. Like over here, this is a marigold that I think this is the biggest marigold in the garden. And then I planted a couple determinate, so kind of bush variety tomatoes along the edge here. There's one there. Some of them are no longer with us. And then there's another one over there. And then I put some Mexican sunflowers on the end here, which I've never grown before. I've just seen them in other people's gardens. So I'm excited to see what those look like. And then same deal with this one. These were a lot of the seedlings that weren't doing very well. And so we'll see what we get out of these. Back in the back of the garden again, here's a look at our potatoes. I love growing potatoes. It's just so easy, and I love growing them in buckets too, because you just get to tip them over and see what you find. In this back bed here, a lot of the spring stuff has actually been getting bigger because we've had kind of like the perfect weather for it. We had a couple days that it got warmer, but it cooled down again since it rained yesterday. And so I put like an Armenian cucumber there. It's actually not doing very well. It's gotten a lot yellower since I planted it. These are Kentucky Wonder pole beans. They're actually pretty happy back here. The cilantro is really starting to fill in. This actually got a pretty decent chop like a week ago, and it's nice that they're already coming back and we can get more from them before they bolt here, probably in the next week or so. Oh, there's a little carrot there. That's nice. A bunch of just random stuff here. I put in a few things, like there's a marigold right there. I put in some sunflowers back here, some Mexican sunflowers. Not fully filling in this spot yet, but just starting to a little bit. I really did focus on the trellises too. So I have like my zinnia in the middle there. I planted something here. What is this? Telegraph cucumber. Oh, looks like something snapped that. So I have to plant another one. We are still getting, these are snow peas. And we eat them just like this. So it's time to come out here and harvest again. What I've noticed for these snow peas is they grow pretty slow in the beginning and they don't produce a whole lot. So we have sugar snap peas that we also grow, and they just create like a ton of peas. These, not so much, but I just keep growing these because in the wintertime, like fall, winter into spring for us, there's not really much that you can grow on trellises. And so this is, you know, it's something. It's better than nothing. Otherwise, these trellises would just sit empty for a few months. And so I figure if I can just try to grow something on them that's going to give us a little bit, then I'd prefer that rather than having the trellises just sit here empty. This is the spot that I was sitting right next to, and it smells so good right here because mixed in with these calendula, this is cilantro. And I love the smell of this stuff. I know for some people it has that like soapy taste where they just like cannot stand it. But for me, I love this. I think it's so great. Here's a look down the line at our garlic. It's doing really well. You can see the little leaves here are starting to die back just a little bit. When the bottom like 3 leaves are completely brown and shriveled, like the end of this one, we'll go ahead and pull up all the garlic, but it's not quite ready yet. And then in the end here, a couple weeks ago, I put in some indeterminate tomato plants. So this one is an orange jazz, which I've never grown before. I got this from a seed swap, and there's a couple more there. Let's see, what is this one? This one is a white cherry. Never grown that one before, got it at a seed swap. And then I also put some like marigolds and things like that at the bottom here. And I'm just going to keep filling this in as these plants get a little bit bigger. Also noticed a lot of these. I think this is the morning glory that came in our compost last year. I've already pulled out, I want to say like 4 of them this season. So I'm going to come back and get that guy. This is a little patch of purple cauliflower, and I didn't think we were going to get anything off of any of these, but this is the first ever purple cauliflower I've grown. I don't think it's going to get much bigger than this because we got about 3 more days of cool weather, and then it's going to heat up here, but this is exciting. Overall, these plants are so healthy and nothing has really been eating them or anything, and they've just been, you know, happy as a clam in this little corner. Here is the Swiss chard, which I'm not used to anything wanting Swiss chard, but in this garden, something loves it. But these are the old leaves, and these are the new leaves. The new ones are starting to get a chance. But yeah, this is wild to me. In our last garden, nothing ate Swiss chard. It was the only leafy green that was perfect, and now it's kind of a trap plant, but I'll take it. This is what I think is a little, actually, is this a cabbage? I thought it was I'm trying to look on the edges because I thought it was a Brussels sprout. Oh yeah, there's little things in the armpits. That's a Brussels sprout. And there's more here. They're all doing pretty well. There's more in the middle here that are doing well also. Again, we're not going to get anything off of these, but I'm happy that they grew this healthily. They look really great, actually. This one is, I think, is probably another purple cauliflower. Oh, this one has aphids in it. So, yeah. Some are doing better than others. And then this is a Brussels sprout. I don't know if you can see in the little armpits there. That's where Brussels sprouts grow. And so there's like these little nodules there already. And here is another one of those snow peas. Really beautiful plant, but there's more flowers at the top here. But, you know, for most of it, there's not much going on here. But I'm still happy to have it in the garden. This is what I was most excited to show you. This is by far the biggest cauliflower I've ever grown. And it's kind of doubled in size every day. It looks like it's starting to get a little damage there in the corner, a little discoloration, but I've never grown a cauliflower this big. We figured out that we are decidedly, we have very strong opinions about this. We are a steamed broccoli and roasted cauliflower family, and not the other way around. Although we do pan fry broccoli, and that's really good too. But we don't roast it in the oven anymore. We just decided it tastes too much like burnt carpet. If you actually ever tasted burnt carpet, which we have no real idea, but we're convinced that it is not the way. So we have decided that's just the way we like to do it. But this is really exciting to us because we actually buy a ton of cauliflower from the farmer's market in the wintertime. We buy it like 2-3 heads at a time, roast it all, and half the time we don't even actually make it to a meal because we just start snacking on the pan, and an entire head of cauliflower will be gone just from us passing by the pan and snacking. So even though this cauliflower right here is still really small and it's only going to get like a little bit bigger because we only have a couple more days to grow it, this gives me a lot of hope because we've done it now and it's happening, and so it can get better and we can improve on it. I think this is the snow pea section that's done the best. This one's covered in flowers still, and it's looking really healthy, and it's now taller than me, so that's really great. This is broccoli that has already bolted. You can see this plant just got like super tall, and the flowers are spread out here. So this one is just gonna be here for right now. It's not really doing anything. I think Andrew said he wanted to try and harvest some of these leaves, but I mean, look at these leaves. These are so perfect. I expected these to be completely eaten by caterpillars by now, but they're doing really great still. And then on the end here, I think this is one of my favorite little sections because I have these calendula right here, and then this like sweet alyssum and more calendula, and it's mixed in with the garlic. And I love this corner right here. I just think it's so pretty. All right, my battery is about to die, so I'm gonna buzz through the rest of this. We're gonna see how fast I can do it. So this is our snap pea row here. It's still, I mean, it's still producing a good amount. It's not producing nearly as much as it was, and these plants are starting to look a little tired. So they're definitely almost done for the season, but we'll come out here and harvest these last few. I'm gonna plant some tomatoes underneath them, and basically when it gets too hot for these plants, I'm just gonna completely take them out. Back behind this trellis, we have one of our apple trees, and this one is the Gala, I think. Yeah, it's a Gala, and it's doing really well. There's no flowers yet, but I am happy with the way that the leaves are coming out. Here's another one of our apple trees. This one is a Honeycrisp. We have two of these, and they came with the house. It's doing pretty well too. It's starting to leaf out. I just noticed that the other one is also starting to leaf out, so they're all on track with each other now. And then I've been planting a lot of stuff at the base of this one, so there's borage over there. I have some daffodils that two of them bloomed and they were really pretty. And then I've just been putting a bunch of different like herb and things down here just because it's a cleared spot that already has a drip line to it. And so I've been making the most of that. Next to those, we have our blueberries, which are already producing. This will be the first year that we actually let the fruit grow on these just because we wanted the plants to establish a little more last year. So I'm excited to get our first little handful of blueberries. So that is it for the garden tour today. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I would love to hear in the comments if you're growing a garden, whether that is, you know, a raised bed garden like mine or a little patio garden. I would love to hear all about it. So thank you so much for joining me and spending time with me today. I really appreciate that you're here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.